Yeah. Let me drop exclusive game from my exclusive mind. You be out here chasing fame, I stay steady on my grind. Zero diamonds, zero.
Thank you for tapping into the Exclusive Minds podcast. Today we're going to be having an exclusive conversation with exclusive content from Exclusive Minds. I'm your host, Rook, and
Joe?
Let's get right into it. Oh, yeah, make sure everything's good to go.
All right. We are officially recording. Hang on here. Let's do this. Our new intro.
No, yeah, that is a good intro. That's actually Joe playing the guitar, by the way.
That's me, yeah. You can see the new guitar, yeah. So for anybody who wants to come in the studio and pick up an axe.
We
got an axe.
That's actually Bon Jovi's guitar. One of one, yeah.
Bon Jovi. Yeah. Exactly, Bon Jovi.
Yeah, that's the person, Bon Jovi.
Bon.
Yeah. No. So, I guess it's been a while since we last were on here. I feel like that's like the intro to everything these days. I hope everyone's been good. I hope everyone's had a great 3 weeks. I hope you've had a great 3 weeks.
Has it been 3 or has it been 2?
I think it's been 3 because...
kind of like 2.5-ish weeks.
2.5, sure. Yeah, let's go.
We have a crap ton to talk about.
Holy
mackerel!
Yeah. So last time you went nuclear on the podcast. You went absolutely DEFCON 6, death to everybody. And what's the result of that?
Well, that episode got a lot of feedback. That's for sure.
Well, that's good.
I mean, in our small little circle, I definitely got a bunch of feedback from people going, "Oh, yo." Yeah. So, we could jump right into that. So the update is, obviously I still don't have a HummerEV and I'm never going to get one. So that hasn't changed, right? So I basically went on to social media.
No, before that, that day, me and you went, and with Noah, walked around. We did a test driving of a bunch of stuff.
Well, so I mean, obviously, right, I was still on mega tilt, right? So
full tilt.
I think we talked about how I went and looked at the Ford Lightning, and then you came over. I guess it was that Friday?
Something like that. Yeah, it was Friday.
Well, that's when we did the last podcast, right? Mm-hmm. So, we went to go look at that Ford Lightning, and then we decided, well, why don't we just kind of go out and look at cars in general, right? And we ended up at Tesla, and we ended up at the McLaren dealer, right?
We did, and then we went to BMW.
And then we went to BMW, and that was kind of the full circle of dealerships, right? So
yeah.
I bought an Aventador for $456,000, and that's the end of the story.
Yeah, we were actually we saw a lot of cool cars that day. There was a bunch of cool stuff, I feel like, on the lots. We saw like
there was no lack of cool shit.
No lack of cool stuff. We saw, McLaren's
Bronco
whole
Raptor
inventory, Bronco Raptor,
the full McLaren inventory.
We saw even the new BMWs, which Joe's not a huge fan of.
The
BMWs.
M8 and what's the
MX,
SUV?
The XM or whatever it is. That thing is pretty sick, dude. It's like 100. What was it, like 110,000? Dude, yeah, it's insane. Yeah. So like we saw that. Yeah, a bunch of cool cars out. But, so I'll let you take it off. You said you were posting around on Facebook. I don't know. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, so, I mean, I did. So I basically just did a social media tour where I, social media and some of the Facebook or internet forums, basically just trashing and kind of just spelling out the story, right? Just so anybody who would listen. And if I could fuck GM on, one order or 2 orders, I'd be thrilled. At least I've done my duty. I mean, the reality is nothing's really come of it. GM's never going to reach out to me. They could give 2 shits. And the dealership, they're, like you said, we've already gone through this, right? They're going to end up making money on the whole deal. So they don't care.
They don't care.
I keep waiting, and I do check their Facebook posts. I'm constantly checking their social media because the second that they put a picture of that freaking thing up, I am going to let off on their posts.
So they don't even have it on their website?
They do. Oh, yeah,
it's on the website?
Yeah,
what's
so
the
if you
sticker price for that?
If you go to their website, and this is how I know for sure, right? So if you go to their website, they basically right now list 2 HummerEVs. They don't have pictures. I think they're showing them as either in stock or inbound. One of them is, I guess, the demo unit, and then the other one is the one I ordered, and I know it's mine because there were very few options, but the one option that I chose is one that no one picks, which is the off-roading package.
Yeah.
Which basically means that it had a tire mount in the bed, where, it basically had sort of that, off-roading Baja kind of tire mount that's slanted and stuff like that. So no one ordered that. Everybody got the retractable, hardcover because most people are just putting it on the street. So I know it was my truck.
Do they have the price listed for it, though?
It's
Like the one that they want.
They listed for what the list price is, which is $115,000 or $116,000. I can go and I can see the window sticker, and it's optioned out exactly how I listed it. And they don't show any markup. Now, I'm assuming that if you go in and you inquire, right, they'll go, oh, yeah, it's not really what we're selling it for, or something would happen, right? But, because, I mean, at that point, why wouldn't they have just sold it to me, right? So
there's probably
it's there.
Some hidden keys.
It is absolutely on their website. It is absolutely the truck that I specified. And, so, I mean, you asked me if I'm kind of over it, and I said, generally speaking, yeah, time heals all wounds. It's been 2 weeks or whatever it is, and at this point, I'm like, it's over and it's done.
Over and done with.
So I like I said, I it's not like I am foaming at the mouth and on the internet every 5 minutes looking at websites waiting to trash people. If I'm, kind of doing my spin around things and something pops up, I'll post and say, yeah, these guys suck, or General Motors sucks. But my venom has certainly eased, and obviously,
why is your venom eased, Joe?
Well, so as you know, right? Obviously, I was on full tilt about just getting something, and I ended up pulling the trigger in the last 2 weeks ago? So it was probably a week after this whole thing happened. I bought a Tesla.
Woo!
Yes. So
I know.
I think that really put the nail in the coffin of ever getting a HummerEV. I'm done.
Which, I told you about this.
And so General Motors, thanks. You pushed me away to a competitor, and I probably will never come back. So I am a Tesla owner, Tesla Model 3 owner.
Dude, that car's sick. I obviously I'm a huge fan of those cars, but nah, dude. Thing rides so nice.
I mean, we should definitely talk about that, because I think everybody knows the car, right? Because there's a million social media posts, right? YouTube videos of everything under the sun about the car itself. And what I thought was really interesting was the process of buying it.
Oh, right. You wanted to talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened with that?
So, it's crazy, because I have bought a lot of cars. We've talked about this, right? But every time I have ever bought a car, it's been through a traditional dealership. And I think everybody's probably at some point in their life bought a car. And, you go to the dealer, it's kind of like this, sleazy feel when you're talking pricing. And it's like, the salesperson can't really help you. They can just show you the car, and then it's got to go to the sales manager and backroom negotiations to come out and tell you, yeah, we can do this or we can do that, only to find out that you bought a car that your neighbor bought for $1,000 cheaper because he's a better negotiator, and just this, sleazy thing, right?
Yeah, sleazy tactics.
And the other thing is, if you go in, they'll call you every 10 minutes of the day, right? If you walk into the dealership, give them your information, test drive, and then you go home, right? They're calling you every 5 minutes. If you make the mistake of actually inquiring on the web, like through a Kelley Blue Book or even the General Motors site, right? I want to buy a car. I'm doing some research. You get 15 fucking dealers calling you every 10 minutes, or texting you and shit. And I'm like, it is what it is, right? I just assumed it is what it is, right? So obviously Tesla's got a little bit of a different business model, and we kind of got an experience with that when we went to test drive the one that day, right?
That was a good experience. I felt like
we literally just walked into one of it's the Westchester, Pennsylvania
dealer.
And
we had that. Wait, did you end up getting the car through that girl or no?
No, so they don't work on commission, so she could care less, right? Because I actually we walked into that dealership, and we were pretending that you wanted to buy a car.
Oh my god! So before we continue, I'm terrible at I don't like to lie. I don't like to put face on for anything. So Joe took the bullet for the Ford. When we went into Ford, you were interested in the truck. You were just I guess you already had the experience, or you already had that connection.
Me, right?
Yeah, they had your connection. So we go into the Tesla one, and Joe's like, "All right, pretend you're looking for a car, or you actually are looking for whatever it was." And I'm like, "No, you do it. Pretend you're doing it." So we go in there, and she's like, "Oh, you guys looking for a car?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess we are looking for one." But like you said, they're not really they're not pushy.
No,
they don't
pressure at all.
Yeah, she's like, "Do you want to test drive it?" That was the second question she asked. Besides, "Are you looking for a car?" And it was "Yeah, do you want to test drive it?" And we're like, "Sure, why not?"
Yeah, so I mean, they basically just say, give us your, driver's license and email, and here's the car, and go take a ride for 25. What she said, come back in 25 minutes or something.
She just said, don't go.
We
for
literally
a
went for a 3 or 4 mile drive. We stopped at Starbucks.
Yep.
Got a coffee,
and then came back.
Right, and we were talking to her, getting all the little things. Very friendly people, right? And then you guys walked out, and then I said, "Hey, do you work on commission?" And she's like, "Nope. We're just here to tell you about the car, and just if there's any questions I can answer, let me know." Right? And they had a Model 3 white on white, right? White exterior, white interior performance model on the showroom floor that I just fell in love with. And I didn't really think too much of it. So then we left, and that's when we did the rest of the tour. And we'll talk about that because I thought the McLaren dealer thing was kind of interesting, the way you guys acted and stuff. So we'll talk about that in a second. But so we did the test drive, and I love the car, obviously, right? It was cool as shit, and it's everything you kind of expect from a Tesla. It was just interesting, right? We couldn't figure out how to turn it off.
Oh, man,
how do you turn this damn thing off, right?
Dude, I guess now better than everyone, but there's so many features. Like Joe was saying, even when he pulls up to his house, the garage door opens and closes based on his phone. Like everything is
proximity,
proximity, or it's just convenience. Like it just makes your life so much easier. And I guess we could talk about how you had to buy an attachment for the dash cams.
That's the other thing. So that was the one. So
that's the preference thing.
Kind of going through the buying experience, right? So when I got home that night, I was like, well, let me look. And I go online, and they have that. So here's the weirdest thing. We get back, I don't know, 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Something like that, yeah.
I go online, and that white performance is in the inventory. And it was... I think it was list price of like $56,000, and it was discounted down to like $53,000, something like that, right? And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I'm thinking about it. I'm talking to Ida, and I think I might get it and stuff like that. I go back later that night. I had to be like 9 or 10 o'clock, and it's gone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm like, what the hell?
They're just turning inventory quick.
So
I'm guessing.
So then I emailed that girl we were talking to, and don't get a response Monday. Don't get a response Tuesday. She ended up replying after I had actually bought the car, basically saying that my email went into her spam filter. So, but she did respond, right? And, basically just said that car was sold and blah, blah, blah. And as it turns out, right, I wouldn't have bought that car anyway because it had a sticker price of $56,000, which is $1,000 over the max requirement to get the $7,500 federal credit. So I was never going to buy that car after I kind of figured out some of that.
Yep. And Joe's talking about like you can get like a tax federal credit of $7,500 off of your taxes at the end of the year
next year, right?
Next year it is. Okay, got it.
Well, when you file next year,
got it. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's like there's like a lot of incentives to buying the actual car itself that you like at face value, unless like you actually look into it and you're like taking consideration. No one would know that. I feel like, or not. No one would know that, but like. My parents wouldn't know that. You know what I mean?
No,
I guess like the average person hearing that might actually sway it, you know it?
If you're shopping for a Tesla, you're probably in the know. But maybe not everybody.
No, not everybody.
I mean, Tesla does a pretty good job of promoting the crap out of it, right?
Oh, yeah. When we walked in there, it was like,
interest.
Boom.
Yeah. But the rule there is if the car has a sticker, an MSRP of over $55,000, it doesn't qualify. For a car, and then for trucks, I think it's $75,000 or $80,000. So the Ford Lightning that was $67,000 would have qualified for it. But
so you can essentially, before I interrupt, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the only car that Tesla offers then would be the Model 3 because anything above the Model 3
I think
is
the Model,
over 55.
I think the Model Y does too.
Is it under 55? The Model Y?
I don't know if it's under 55, but they may qualify that as a truck or an SUV or something. So the federal rules are just really wonky. I mean, basically for a car, a four-door car, it's $55,000. And so even though that car was actually less than $55,000 out the door, because the original sticker was over 55, it would not qualify, right?
Sure.
So as it turns out, right, I would have never bought that car anyway. But I'm online and I'm looking, and sure enough, they've got a white-on-white long range, which is their mid-range Model 3. It's all-wheel drive. It has a bigger battery, and that one stickers for like $52,000 or $53,000. They had one in Devon that was white on white, and there's really no options. It's that's the thing with Tesla. It is this is what you get, right? And so that was discounted. It was like $3,000 off. So Tesla's apparently got this system, like unlike car dealerships where everything's a freaking haggle, right? They basically have a system where, if you ever go online, you can see it, right? They'll show you their inventory, and I guess as cars age on the lot, they have an automatic system that just discounts, right? So it's sort of like a reverse auction kind of deal.
Cool.
Like, how long do you want to try and wait it out to grab the car off the lot
before someone else snags
it? So I think the one I bought, I think it was like $2,500 or $3,000, or it was $2,500 off that list price. And then I had a referral code, which was another $500 off from a friend that, got me like $3,000 off. So I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to do it, right? So you basically, unlike a car dealership, right? So I'm online. I talked to no one, right? I'm online. There's no haggling at a Tesla deal, right? There's no finance managers, there is no haggling, right? Yeah. So I went online and I basically said, I want this car. And you click on the buy button and it basically takes you to a screen that says you need to put $250 down today, right? Which you do with Apple Pay, right? And that locks you into that car. And then the next thing you know, it says download the app, go through this whole process. First thing is, how do you want to pay for it? Do you want to just pay cash?
Finance or lease?
Are you going to finance it? If you finance it, are you using your own financing, or do you want to use ours? And if you use ours, which I ended up doing because their interest rate was actually better than what I got from my credit union by
really?
I was surprised too because I went through both processes. You basically just complete the app online, and it's very, they just want your driver's license number and your thing, and boom. Next thing you know, it says you were approved. Here's here's what's going to cost you. And then it moves you to the next step, which is scheduling the delivery. And in my case,
just picking it up. I
decided I wanted to buy it on, I think it was either Monday night or Tuesday morning. They basically came back and said, it's approved, it's paid for. Let's schedule you in Thursday of that week. And I scheduled at 11 a.m. on Thursday. And that's kind of it. And then when the app pops up, it says, make sure you bring your driver's license, proof of insurance, all the stuff that the dealerships would do as well. But again, I'm never talking to a human being.
Damn, it sounds like a antisocial person's best dream.
So, yeah. So here's the thing, though. So 11 o'clock comes, right? We go to the Tesla dealer. And this is the one in Devon, Pennsylvania, which is their original Philadelphia thing. It's one of their bigger locations.
I always get confused Devon for King of Prussia, because it's they're
it's close.
Like on the border, like kind of, they're like they touch each other.
Well, I mean, they have the King of Prussia showroom for the mall, right?
The mall, right.
But the Devon is their main location, right? That's where they have a lot of the. I mean, you go there, and that's where all the inventory is.
That's a big one.
So we pull in. And, we're there 5 minutes of 11. Walk into the showroom, and you know how it is with dealers, right? Typically you walk in, even if it's on a weekend, right? There's like 6 or 7 salespeople hovering, waiting to attack you, right? And it's like a free-for-all. And I'm sure there's some pecking order on who gets the next customer that walks on the showroom floor, but you feel like a piece of meat, right? You just do, right? They attack you. How can I help you? And, it's just instant, right? You get to Tesla to pick up the car, and you walk through the door, and in this particular showroom, there's a sign right at the door that says, if you're here for sales, continue to walk straight, and they've got a couple of cars for demos, and if you're here for deliveries or pickups, go to the right. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing, right? And you go to the right, and there's a kiosk. There's like a
no way.
It's like a service desk, but it's like there's 3 kiosks with a guy behind the kiosk, and it's freaking packed. And this is a Thursday at 11 a.m.
Really, it's packed.
There's like I had to make a reservation to go pick up the car because there's so many people picking up cars. It was crazy, right? Yeah. And I'm like, this is the kind of volume that these dealerships just can't be doing, right? So I walk up and the guy's like, yeah, I'm here from 11 o'clock. He asks me my name, says, oh, Joe, hey, how you doing? Right. Spins the thing and says, there's a couple things.
There's a tip option. It says 10
right?
tip.
He goes, let me find your car. And he spins it back. He goes, let me find your car. And he goes, give me 1 sec. He walks out for about 5 minutes, comes back and says, your car is like 4. He points to it and says, go out and do a visual inspection, sit in it, do your thing, and then come back when you're comfortable with it, right? So we go out and look at it, and it's basically a brand new car. There was it was really weird. There was one little thing on the front fascia where it looks like a drop of paint, white paint. It just, if you saw it, you'd be like, what the hell is the deal with that, right? It wasn't enough for me to lose sleep. I could care less, right? Ida's, a little bit more, I'll call it analytical.
Sure.
So she's freaking out about it. I'm like, who cares, right?
Yeah.
No one's going to see that, right?
Did she mention it?
So I mentioned it, and they come out and they look and they make a note of it, and they say, well, obviously we can't do anything about that right now, but next time you come in for service, which is probably never, right, they'll fix it. I could care less, right? It's a cosmetic thing, but, sure enough. So I'm like, okay, everything else is fine. And then they come back in and they, basically spend about literally another 5 minutes. And he's like, yeah, just sign here that you're receiving it and the car's yours. Here's the key.
Wow.
And
it was that easy.
That easy, right? And
really?
Basically, if you want to learn how to use it, like I knew how to use the car at that point because we just did the demo.
Oh, yeah, Friday.
Like if you didn't know what to do,
they help you.
They'll basically sit you in the car and there's like the videos.
Oh,
so even I guess I'm sure if you asked, they would come out and show it. But generally speaking, it is like a no-touch sort of
seamless
situation.
Like thing. Yeah, I guess they probably did maybe implemented a lot of that during COVID.
They did. So there's no doubt that a lot of it was COVID related.
And then it probably would just stop.
Just carrying it forward because it's a lower cost of sale, right? You don't have people. You're not paying people, right? You just But it was madness. I'm like, holy mackerel, right?
Yeah.
This is like in the middle of a day. This isn't like end of year. This is like Thursday of the second week of August or something like that. And it was packed. And I'm like, wow, they do a lot of volume here. I mean, literally they had 3 guys that were doing nothing but just handling deliveries.
That's pretty cool though, because but we talked about it before last week when you go to a dealership, you're like expecting to be in there for like 2 hours.
Yes.
So like how long do you think from the moment you walked in to the moment you left?
15 minutes, Todd. I
Really?
swear to God, I'm not lying. It was 15 minutes.
Damn.
I mean, the longest part was me out in the car looking around. But once that was done, I mean, the process with them was 10, 15 minutes tops, right? I mean,
so that's good.
It was amazingly quick. So, I mean, one of the reasons that you're in a dealership for so long is because you're filling out the financials and all of that paperwork.
But
And
that's
again,
all done
a lot
online.
of it's done online. So you're actually completing a lot of that paperwork on the app, right? You're not sitting at some finance guy's desk. And the other thing is, the thing that always drives me crazy at the dealerships is they always try and sell you the extended warranty. They always try and sell you the tire protection,
all that shit.
the paint protection, all this shit, right? Because that's all the big money and it's a ripoff. And every time, and I always say, dude, don't waste your time with that shit. I'm not buying any of that crap, right? But a lot of people, I think you bought something, right?
I bought a it was some sort of package because my car was used when I bought it, so I just wanted to be safe, and I bought it was like a $1,500 or $2,000 package, just like front to back, everything except for like the wheels to get covered.
Yeah.
And it actually ended up paying for a partial of itself. I wouldn't say like fully. It was my air condition went bad because I knew that the Hondas had bad air condition. Like with the air conditions, they're not the best. So I bought that, and my air condition ended up blowing out, and it was like a $500 repair. So I don't think it paid for itself fully, but when I went to go get it fixed, they fixed it no problem. And then, it's just one of those convenient things. But, there was probably $1,000 worth of stuff that I didn't, that I'll never even see by the time I get a new car. And, knock on wood, hopefully I don't have any more problems,
Yeah, I mean, it was, So
especially if you're buying a new car, which we talked about outside, like Teslas, for the most part, for the Model 3, you're buying a brand new one most of the time, unless there's like a super crazy good deal. You could buy them used. You said there was a couple used ones on the lot. So,
sure.
What do you know how much they were used? Or are they around the same?
Around the same. I mean, maybe a little cheaper. I mean, they I guess Tesla has the cream of the crop, right? So they're low mileage and stuff like that. But with that tax rebate, it almost doesn't make sense to buy used unless you get
there's more incentives to buy it new, essentially.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I didn't really
good.
look at the used ones too much because the delta wasn't really was there. But yeah, so I mean, that's one of those things. Like it eliminates all of that sleazery, right? And that shit is pure sleazery. I mean, I know why they do it, right? Everybody's trying to make a buck.
That's exactly what it is, and
they're preying on the people who don't know.
Yeah, they're preying for the people that don't know, but they're also like. I heard that when they go back and talk to the manager about, I don't know if this is true, but when they go back and talk to the manager about financing options and stuff like that, they don't even actually talk to the guy. They just walk in the back. I don't know if this is true.
I wouldn't surprise
you. You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, we couldn't get you a better finance. I want to know the transparency there, and it seems like Tesla kind of has a great model with, with theirs. If you can either go through your own or you can go through theirs, and you ended up going through theirs because it sounded like the smarter thing to do.
Right.
So that's cool. I mean, and how you like it? You're 2 weeks down. What's the review? Sounds like you like it a lot.
So, So I love the car with the exception of one thing, right?
Oh,
Which
right.
you know, right? So for whatever reason, right? And
This is a preference
I know
thing, by the way.
right? So the one thing that the Tesla does not have is CarPlay, right? And I get it, right? It's you don't want to commit to Apple's ecosystem, right? You want your own ecosystem. That's the reason why General Motors has announced that they're getting rid of CarPlay in future cars, right? You don't want to get locked into Apple. And then I guess Apple's also been talking for years about how they're going to create a car, which would be in direct competition to Tesla. So I get it. But at the end of the day, you know me. I am so freaking hardcore Apple. It's beyond belief. And so I've only had the car for literally a week. And the fact that it doesn't have CarPlay was driving me batshit crazy, right? Insane. Like, I'm like, this car is awesome. I love it. I love all the features. I love all the capabilities. It's a technologist's dream car, but it doesn't have goddamn CarPlay. And it has Apple Music integration, which is there, and it's okay. You can connect your phone, so it's not like I couldn't play podcasts or whatever through the audio, connecting it as a Bluetooth phone connection. But at the end of the day, it's not the Apple CarPlay experience, right? And we talked about this, right? You don't have the GUI and all this other stuff. The navigation on the Tesla's really nice. And I showed you how you can basically just go on Apple Maps, pick the location, and then forward it right to the car, and it instantly pops up. So, I mean, that's not an issue either. For me, podcasts, and that's really all I listen to when I'm in a car, and navigating podcasts or just kind of skipping the commercials is just next to impossible in a Tesla. And I take Microsoft Teams calls. Sometimes I take remote calls, and you don't have the app that's right there in front of you. It's just little things, right? So I'm losing my mind about this, right? Just simple things, right? Stupid things.
Preference things.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, what am I going to do here? Right. So I go online to the Tesla forums and I'm like, Apple CarPlay, what's the deal? Is there a wireless adapter? Is there some sort of thing that I can do? And there's a whole bunch of things. And then I get this one hit that's like 600 pages long about these basically 9-inch like rectangular screens that mount on the dash. And if you've seen a Tesla, it has the 15-inch display in the center, and there is no the traditional like dash. Yeah. There isn't one. It's just empty space. So what they do is they have this 9-inch rectangular touch screen that has Apple CarPlay, and you basically install it, and the installation is amazing. It looks like it's factory put in, right? Really clean, really easy. You just have to pop. I installed it in 30 minutes, right? You pop the dash and do some stuff. And basically, I have a 9.5-inch screen in the center of my steering, or where the dash would be, that now has full CarPlay. And it also, I can toggle between that and basically all the displays, right? The speed, the battery, all the stuff that would be on the 15-inch screen off to the left-hand side or right-hand side is now on that little screen if I wanted to look there instead of over, right? So really clean solution. It was $300. And basically what it does is the phone connects via CarPlay to this 9-inch device. That 9-inch device connects to the Tesla system through the Bluetooth connection. So it's an intermediate. Yeah. But you absolutely get the ability now to have the full CarPlay integration.
Well, that's good. I mean, it sounds like
it's best of both worlds.
It sounds like even still only $300. You got the referral thing, so if you look at it, you still are down $200.
I mean, if someone said, "Hey, Tesla has a $300 option to add CarPlay to the Tesla,"
would do it.
Most people would do it, right? So I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer.
Sure.
I've only had it. I literally just installed it yesterday, so we'll see how it plays out, right? But the first day and a half's experience, and I've been in the car for a little bit. I love it, right? I mean, it's given me the one thing that just was the one rub about Tesla. That I was like, gosh,
it sounds like you like it overall, though. Everything sounds great about it.
Yeah, no complaints. So
you got a lot of. I think there's like a lot of stuff that there is that I don't know about, like. I was telling you, like, I think there's something with the gas pedal, the brake, or some shit like that opens and closes. There's like a lot of like hidden features that you just have to like. The more you get with it, the more you're.
I am still learning. Yeah. I mean, it really is a truly amazing. I mean, the technology is just insane for a $50,000 car.
Sure. Well, that's I mean, I feel like that was a good segment about your.
Woo!
Yeah.
It's another 30 minutes on this HummerEV. And so General Motors
byproduct.
Way to go. I bought a friggin' Tesla, and I didn't want to buy a Tesla originally. So, for what it's worth, you stupid sons of beep, 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 beep. Anyway, so I think we're done with that, right? We've exhausted it. I mean, it is what it is, right? I'll keep people abreast in future episodes if anything really ever comes of that. But at this point, my dreams of the HummerEV are dead and buried, and I won't be going back anytime soon. And I have purchased a replacement, and I am now a Tesla fanboy. So
yeah. Now I'm up next. I'm gonna get the black one, like I told you.
Yeah, yin and yang. So that'll be
all right.
That'll be hot. Just like our shirts, like our exclusive Mind shirts in black or white, available at exmnds.com. Oh man, did you like that segue?
I did like that.
I'm getting pro at this stuff now.
That was a good call to action. I had some notes that I took of the past couple of weeks while we were gone, and I shared it with you. And I'm kind of curious because the whole podcast started around the age gap difference and the generational differences. So. This one was about marriage advice, and it was actually coming from someone who's, I don't know, she's not in the space of the traditional space. She's a adult actress, but her advice was like saying how she got divorced 3 times, and if you're not gaining something from marriage, you shouldn't be tied down. And I just wanted to get your point of view of what that means, because you don't want it to feel like an exchange, and that's exactly what her point was of like, hey, I feel like if I'm not gaining something from this person, it's not worth it. I bet there is some truth into that, but then there's also like you're gonna throw away like a relationship over it. It just doesn't make sense to me.
So my first thought was it was stupid as can be. I mean, I still think for the most part it's a stupid comment. But what I will say is, in her situation, right, there's no kids involved.
No kids involved, no.
So,
and she's also like 30 years old, so she had 3 marriages by the time she was 30.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's an issue there, right? I mean, a mental issue. Like, why the hell do you even get married at that point then, right? I mean, at that point, just date somebody and live with somebody, and do you really need a piece of paper that says that there's some... I mean, clearly she doesn't need the piece of paper, so why the hell even get married? And why go through that process? Just date people, right? And then when it's over, and you go your separate ways. And both of you know going in, that's how this relationship's going to work, right? So, I mean, that was my thing. I'm like, if you don't have kids,
there's no commitment.
In theory, marriage really isn't much more than...
paper.
A dating relationship and what you make of it, because it is just a piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
Sure, you start to intermingle money and stuff like that, and there's that complexity, and it gives you some legal protections. And sure, I get all that, right? But generally speaking, until you have kids, the concept of marriage is in this day and age, right? It doesn't have sort of the same meaning as it did even my time or way before.
So
that,
that's what
right?
that's what I was going to say.
It was an institution that has lost its luster.
That's what today's actually me and Taylor's 4-year anniversary of dating. But besides like the actual time aspect of it, like you said, if there's something where, like you said it perfectly.
Well, everybody's wired differently.
Yeah,
right?
like you shouldn't, even if you're young and you want to show like that level of commitment, I shouldn't feel like I have to propose to someone to show that I'm committed to a single person just because it's like, that's between you and I. Like, you're just getting married just to say you're getting married, to keep up with who knows your friends or whatever the situation is. It's just it's an arbitrary term for you just saying, oh, I'm included too. I have this partner. And even before, I remember, like you said, with prior generations, I think it was my papi and nona on my mom's side. They only knew each other for like 4 months or something like that, and then they got married. And then their relationship, they were married for 50-something years. So it's like, it just truly depends on the person.
For better or worse, till death do us part.
Exactly.
Right? There's
a thing there. You shouldn't just get married just to get divorced. You should spend time with people.
That has all been lost in this generation, right? For the most part, right? And that is driven by Hollywood, right? I mean, let's face facts. Hollywood is the concept of marriage. And look, there's exceptions, but generally speaking, that's long been driven by Hollywood, and having, I guess, the money to just sort of dissolve marriages like it's nothing, right? And at the end of the day, you could argue, right? Until you have kids, like, kids changes everything.
Yeah.
So if she had kids, then everything she said is just freaking complete stupid, right? Because at that point, it's not just you and another person, right? It's you and it's kids that are need some support. You can't. You have to work harder, right? And this is just I don't know.
Well, now we're getting into a different conversation too, because I feel like nowadays you're starting to see a shift almost, because I told you she's an adult actress, so like if an adult actress were to have,
so she already has issues.
I'm saying if they were to have kids prior to this, you wouldn't really hear too much about like, oh, is their son or daughter getting bullied in school? But now like that they're like OnlyFans and like these other type of platforms are coming out. It's like I heard a story recently where someone's kid was getting bullied because of what their parents were doing because of that type of thing, and that's a conversation that is relatively new. At least I've never heard that in the past. So it's like I wonder what the effects of our generation kind of popularizing doing that type of stuff is going to be for their kids growing up. Like, you know what I mean? Like what type of what conversation would that be of like, look at your mom or look at whoever it is doing this on like, bro, like, could you imagine that?
This world is,
you know what I mean? Like that's a whole different conversation itself where it's like, dude, that must be a terrible, I couldn't even imagine, dude. I genuinely couldn't imagine.
No, I mean, the world is shifting. I mean, look, obviously I'm an older person and I think this world is clearly shifting in the wrong direction. I mean, it's just wrong. Period. Like this conversation, I mean, it's like, I sort of get it. It's kind of a single person's mentality, and it's just like, and look, if a relationship is not working, I agree with her, right? At some point, you got to say this isn't working, and that's there's a legitimate reason for divorce, right? I mean,
100%.
The problem is it's just. It's become so normalized.
Well, divorce is now up to like it's like in the 40s percentage-wise as people getting divorced.
It's insane.
It's like 40% of all couples that are married get divorced in the past.
It's become so normalized. Where before,
it's like looked down upon.
Like divorce meant something. Like it happened, but it tended to happen for serious reasons, right? Whatever it was, abuse or just something, right? Now it's just I'm tired of you, and I don't want to work on this anymore. I'm gonna go, right? And
I don't like your astrology sign, so I'm gonna bring
it's
no, I'm only trolling, but yeah, it's just like the reasons I feel like are getting less and less, and it doesn't hold.
So my take on that again, my initial reaction was it was a stupid thing to say, but then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, as long as there's no kids involved and it's just her and her another person, and he that guy must have known going in what the hell her attitude is, right? It's now public knowledge, so whatever, right? So it's basically she's dating with a piece of paper, like who cares, right? Sure. And I don't know, man.
Just seems like
marriage is supposed to be a commitment between two people, and when there's some rough spots, you're supposed to try and work through it. Like put a real honest and truthful effort into maintaining it, right? Because it's not easy. Yeah. I mean, there are absolutely, you're going to have your ups and downs, and right. And it sounds like as soon as she has an up, or a down, she's like, I'm out. I don't want to work on this. I just want the easy ride, right?
Well, that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Horseshit, and that's. Being divorced 3 times in 3 years or whatever the hell it is.
Sure.
Who cares?
Yeah, no, that definitely, they're good take. All right, next, we talked about this when it first came out, but this was about Threads, the competitor for Twitter that Meta came out with.
Haven't been on it. So
when was the last time you were on it, honestly? Probably the week that it came out.
The week that it came out, and I haven't been on it since.
Yep, so I predicted... give it 3 months' time. We'll see where it goes from here, and then yada yada yada. Well, this was last week. Threads traffic was down 82% since launch.
Not a surprise.
Users are spending less than 2.9 minutes on the app. So obviously,
Well, you know why? There's nothing there.
Well, that's
if you log on, it's all it is ads. It's posts from all the major sponsors.
I couldn't tell you the last time I was on, but my whole thing with Threads is like I was excited for the competitor, but I'll reiterate this and I'll echo this 1,000 times, which was there is no personality on Threads. There's no community. It's just the same. It's the same resettled I take what I put on Twitter and I'll put it on Threads. Not me particularly, but I noticed that's the case with a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Like you said,
you don't need it.
It was just the brands that were on there at first. Like I remember, I saw Netflix hey, what is this thing, da da da, and just like kind of making a joke about it. But now it's all like it's popularizing that's on the feed is just like brands and so on and so forth. So
it's awful.
I think they tried to strike while the iron was hot when Twitter was under a lot of fire, which makes sense, but don't rush a product that's not working. And discoverability, you can't discover new brands on there, and I feel like anybody who's trying to start something new, that's the number one thing they're looking for. So TikTok is the perfect example for that, and I'm even starting to see that on X, which is people,
look
newer,
at you tossing around the X.
Yeah, I'm trying to use it now. People trying to expand their horizons by posting their product on there. So if you can't grow on a platform, why use it, right? Like I feel like that's the thing with Instagram. I haven't posted on Instagram in a while, and when I do, it's very sporadic. It's not like anything. I don't know. TikTok is just more. It's more utilized.
At the end of the day, right? I mean, for me, I really truly only use Facebook and X, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't even use X before, so I mean, Musk pulled me back in on that. But I mean,
yeah, well, now you're in Tesla, you're gonna have to use it, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, I have Instagram, and I'll occasionally go there just to kind of just check in, typically for exclusive minds, and and you or Mikey doing stories. But I mean, yeah, I mean, we talked about this, right? It's nothing new.
Yeah,
it's more of the same, and it's like I don't need another fucking social media app. I don't. I mean, and it brings no value. And I'm telling you, you go on. I'm sure if I launched it right now, it would be nothing but brands.
Yeah, right. Now
there's no content, right?
And I feel I think that Twitter is trying to shift now, or X is trying to shift now to the everything app. Kind of. There's another one that's already kind of like that. What's it called? Not WhatsApp. Man. I just lost the name of it. But there's already an app that's kind of everything. You go there to shop. You go there.
What the hell is everything?
Well, like
they all do it. I mean,
essentially everything. You can go there. Well, I guess you're right. Like everyone's trying to incorporate everything into the app.
What is an everything app? I shake my head.
He's trying to implement, from what I understand, obviously monetization. So people posting on there. At one point when they first launched it, like a month or so ago, it was if you got 15 million impressions, you would get paid out a certain amount. Now it's only down to 5 million, so it's making that entry point a lot lower for people of any caliber to kind of
so they're
play
trying
ball
to pull
into
the
it.
Content creators.
So getting into like the monetization, I saw like Nelk, they posted that video with Andrew Schultz, or the podcast with Andrew Schultz on there. So longer form content's getting implemented.
Yes.
Live streaming's being implemented. They're just trying to bring everything from every app and put it into one package and just try to make it the best. Like we talked about your experience when you went in to go buy a car, it only taking 15 minutes, right? They're trying to make that what seemed to be like only for one thing. Now it's just trying to condense it into the best, and we'll see what happens. I'm genuinely curious to see what happens. I don't know what the stock price is. I don't know about anything on the back end, but I'm curious to see kind of where this goes, because Meta was they did strike when everyone kind of had their foot on the neck of Elon Musk, and they're like, what the hell's going on, but they figured it out. So we'll see. And
I thought the whole rebranding thing was a real dangerous move, but as it turns out, I think it's I mean, X is catchy, man. And, seriously, I mean,
that's what he did with. I thought X was PayPal before it was PayPal. I thought at one point.
Well, so I think he actually does he actually own X.com? Is it?
Yeah, it's him.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's probably like $1 million domain.
Oh, it's
name.
more than that, right? Any of those single letter domains are just super. There's only 26 of them, right? So I mean, it's crazy.
Good transition there. I just bought a domain name for the first time in a little while, and there's still some, but a lot of those ones, like you said, they're getting taken up. Like
almost everything.
Yeah, like they're even for like there's a lot of other options now, like rather than the .com. But I feel like
Jesus Christ,
but I think the .com is kind of just a more traditional thing where people get less confused, because I was initially looking to put my portfolio somewhere because I have so many things that I just never saved throughout the years. I just had it and it was just floating around in my memory on my computer. But now I bought it's caporstudio.com. I was initially going to buy capor.studio, which would have been a cool name, but then something with that, you had to like initiate the .studio the domain name, which would have cost a couple extra dollars. But then I was like, people aren't going to type that in.
No one's going to go there.
So I was like, CaporStudio.com. It just has a good catchy name to it. .com too, which people are familiarized with. So it's pretty sick. Go check it out. There's a bunch of stuff on there. And I should look at the analytics, but I mean, I know we have like Exclusive Minds .store and .us was our first domain name, which was. We were trying to get we talked about this a million times, I feel like, on here. We were trying to get the .com, but then some guy was like harboring the name, and he was like wanting like 500, 600, even like at one point it was in the thousands. I think he wanted for it.
Well, I mean, he wants $4,000 for it.
Yeah, so there is some merit to having a .com, but I feel like there is a lot of success in today's world with other like .io, .ai, whatever. But .com's the classic, you know what I mean? So just rock
there.
out.
But I mean, you definitely you got to focus on a .com first, and then go elsewhere for.
And I went into like a deep dive of like, and this is probably just super boring for people who are not in like the analytical stuff. But I was like when I was making it, even for ours, I was just looking at like what's catchy for when someone's checking out. Do you want to have like review my order? Do you want to have checkout? Like, there's just like a bunch of nuances to what you want to have that makes people like not want to question what they're doing. It's just more of like a sure shot. Let's go through with it. So it's a cool stuff you can get into when you have your own website and kind of diving into that, diving in more into that. What happened though? Boxing was the next topic, right? So did you get the chance to check out the Jake Paul versus who was it?
I was planning on
Nate Diaz. That's who it was.
Yeah,
right?
I was planning on watching it, and I will confess that I'm an old guy, and
you fell asleep.
Fuck it. What time did the fight start? I mean,
1 o'clock.
So like I was up at 11:30, and at 11:30, Amanda Soriano,
right.
which is the fight before, had just started, and that went 10 rounds.
That went the distance. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm out. I can't. I mean, I'm just gonna catch the clips on ESPN or whatever. I can't because so 1 o'clock. That's ridiculous. So, that's why I love Saudi Arabia, man. I forget all the whitewashing, sport washing. I mean, the fact that their fights are on at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon is awesome.
No, props to Amanda Soriano, or however you say her name is. She's a badass, bro, and her opponent too. She thugged it out throughout that brutal 10 rounds of punishment that, she's the best. Like,
so did you watch it over Mikey's? Or
I did. So she is an absolute unit. I was actually surprised that she was like that good at boxing, and I didn't get a chance to catch the Crawford and Spence fight live. I watched it after the fact. Did you watch it live or no?
No, I didn't.
After the fact. So I watched it after the fact, and dude, those guys too. Like Crawford, I believe Bud Crawford, he's a tank, dude. Like, he's insane. Like, his, footwork and everything like that. And I don't know, man. There's something when you get to those higher caliber fights that it just, you could tell the difference between, like, the lower end versus the higher end fights. And it's insane. But, like, I was listening to something, and they were saying that, like, everyone's, like, just getting so good at the sport because there's always someone to kind of look back on. That's kind of what the attention to like Floyd Mayweather was like there was no one that was like 50-0 before him, or that's what brought everybody to want to go see it. Now these guys have like these 41-0 records, 50-0 records that it's getting interesting to see. Well, but
it's a lot of these boxing still is a real freaking shit show if you ask me, because I mean people are like ducking fights to maintain their records, and
this is the exact conversation that me and Mikey had. So I was saying to him, I was like, have Crawford and Spence fought before? Because, like I said, one was 40-0 or 30-something and 0, and the other one was 40-0. And I was like, have they fought before? And he was like, no, this was the first time they fought. And I was like, if this was the UFC, these guys would have fought 3 or 4 times by now, because, rather than ducking and, fighting quote unquote journeymen just along the way to boost your record, these guys would have been at it. This would have been like the 3rd bout, 4th bout by now. Like, why is there like no attention to that? So I do have to give credit to Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, because what is his name? I just forgot his name.
Yeah, you had it.
Was that right? Tank. Yeah, that's the thing I like to see about it, was because they actually finally got in there and actually made something happen, whereas before these guys are fighting the kind of lower end guys, and
they're just
that's like the slack that Jake Paul was getting, was like he's fighting like non-UFC or non-professional boxers.
Well, he is. I mean, so the one time he fights somebody who's a real fighter, he loses, right? So I mean,
But
even this Nate Diaz thing was kind of a freaking joke. I'm sorry,
I liked it. I think.
Look, it's entertaining.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to take it, but I mean, as a purist, like Mikey, I don't. What is his thoughts? I mean, it's because it's just like, come on, really, man.
Well, so I have to also offer this because I'm not too deep into the boxing world to know, but. Who was, Crawford fighting in his first 6 fights? Like,
I don't,
right? So it's like they could be trash cans, and it's like I think that the only slack that he's getting is that he's such a well-known guy that he can't like fight on like an undercard and kind of just slip by, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's 30-0. Who's he gonna fight? Yeah. Like, that's the downfall of him, where a lot of the guys kind of had that blessing of not being as well-known right off the gate, and they kind of just not squeaked by, but they just kind of got through and now have these unbelievable records that it's, bringing in the draw now. So I guess that's the slack. And the UFC, like you said, by 11:30 it was the not the main fight, but the pre-main fight.
The Soriano,
I think the UFC was over by the time by the time Jake Paul got out there. So it's like you're getting content like fight after fight after fight by the time, these guys go out there. So there's a lot of stuff, especially in today's TikTok world. You got to be quick on it, man. You got to make sure you're delivering some interesting stuff relatively quick.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's I don't know. So I mean, obviously, it's not for my demographic anyway, right? I'm like, I ain't waiting. I'm not gonna stay up until 1 o'clock to watch this shit.
Yeah, no, for real.
No, I did see the highlights, and I was like, damn, man, he almost knocked him out in the first round. That would have been ugly.
Yeah, no. I forgot to bring this up.
Let's talk about real fights. So
who's the real fight?
The Joshua fight last night.
I didn't watch it.
No, he knocked the dude out.
Did he? Wasn't nice.
Yeah, in the 7th round, and everybody
clean.
booed him, and it was he's angry now, so we'll see. But the heavyweight is such a mess.
Yeah,
with Fury like fighting Ngannou, and come on.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's going down in Saudi Arabia. Too.
Yeah. So I'll be able to watch it. It'll probably be on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how all that plays out, man. And like the Saudis, we were talking a little bit off, but. They have an interesting thing going on because they're offering all this money towards these players that it's drawing other players from other categories to come in. So, like, they offered the one soccer guy, Mbappe, or is that how you say his name? Mbappe.
Yeah, and he didn't take it.
He didn't take it, but it's, you like by them offering him $1 billion for a year, it's bringing like other guys in other sports. Hey, if you guys come up with a basketball team, we'll step into that. Or if you offer a football team, so how many guys in that situation are going to say no? Out of like 10 guys, who's going to say no to that? 1 out of 10.
I mean that was always the beef with the live golf thing, is everybody was like giving those guys grief, and I'm like, there's not a human being on the planet. Well, I guess there are, because some of the pro golfers didn't do it. But I'm like, if they offered you like $200 million guaranteed for whatever it was, a 4-year commitment, somebody wouldn't take that money, guaranteed, right? It's more than you ever made in your history of golfing. And why wouldn't you jump for
especially
that?
Especially if you shrink it down, like I said, I think the soccer, his was only for 1 year. Like, wasn't it like $1 billion for 1 year?
I don't think it was quite that much. I mean, Ronaldo's getting paid.
Well, his was also crazy a number too.
Yeah, but I mean, his was like a little bit more realistic in a funny way, right? It was like $200 million a year. I think that Mbappe thing was that $1 billion. I think was a multi-year sort of deal, but still, it's insane money, right?
So like,
compared to what they were making.
Let's say if it was 1 year, let's say if it was 2 years, it's like. People like you could take a year or two off, just like how normal people do for like, I'm sure Jordan didn't play all of his years consecutively. Just say it was like an injury year, and then just come back the next year $1 billion richer or whatever it is, right? So
yeah, I mean it's a weird thing because I mean obviously your average sports guy who isn't like a mega superstar that's got a brand like obviously Messi, it didn't make sense because he's got, in addition to the fact that he's got a pretty big salary, right, and they were offering him all kinds of money, but he's got he's got the Jordan he's got like the Jordan deal with Adidas, where he's got the brand and it's going to be everlasting even after he retires, and you don't want to taint that with the whole Saudi thing. So I kind of get that. That was the reason why I thought it was interesting that Ronaldo went, because he's obviously got a brand that has taken a hit because of it, even though he's making serious money. So
yeah, well now Messi's coming to Chester.
Yeah,
you see that?
Well, yeah, Miami.
Miami and Union.
And those tickets are probably like $600 or $700.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive. I saw like when they first opened up, before like they were sold out. The Union tickets are like $35-$40 normally, when they opened up, I think like for like the worst of the worst seats, it was like $350 just for like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it's funny. Miami has gone
now.
from the absolute worst team to like now all of a sudden
top
the best
contender,
team. It's like
right?
just amazing. Like
one guy, right? And now a bunch of people.
It's not
are
just
like,
one guy. It's messy.
one guy. Yeah, one guy's doing it for him. I wanted to say though, did you see that Oh wait, hold on. What was it? Oh yeah, Elon Musk was fined $350,000 after the U.S. apparently reached out to get Trump's Twitter account or whatever it was. They were trying to get information.
What?
Yeah, so he
I didn't.
He was fined $350K. But it's like funny because to most of America, $350K, it's a lot. But then it's like Elon Musk, who has like $200 billion. It's like he's not going to be. Yeah, he's not going to be hurting over that. No. But I mean.
Why were they going after Trump's? I don't even.
They were going. I think they were going after it because of everything that just happened recently.
I'm like, I don't even want to know. I just like, I'm so like, I haven't. So,
we need another DEF CON episode.
I mean, we talked about this, right? So, I mean, I used to be a religious Fox News watcher, right? Uh-oh. And ever since they booted Tucker Carlson, I haven't watched Fox once. And
Tucker Carlson was always interesting. He's more like a podcast guy than.
I mean, he's got the podcast now, and some of his interviews have been fabulous, right? But I mean. As soon as they kicked him off, I haven't watched Fox News once in how many months has it been? And I got to be honest, man, it's so fucking refreshing. Like not having to
not
listen
watching
to
the news
shit.
and stuff. Yeah, I mean
the news just sucks. I mean, look, right, left, in between, the news sucks.
Yeah, the only thing that's keeping the news alive, and I was kind of thinking
the camera just died. You believe that shit?
The only thing that I was thinking of.
Wait, that's weird. The camera died.
Oh, no, it just turned off now.
Yeah. All right, so 55, then we lost the camera.
That's all right, well, it's not terrible. We're like at the tail end of it anyhow. But anyway, like I was saying, the news is, I think, successful is because it's on all the time. It's you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, rather than the podcast guys who have awful. like a day buffer or like a couple hour buffer, you're finding out the information, I guess, live, if that makes sense, and they're covering so much of a community where I guess the podcasting doesn't.
Have you by chance seen the Tucker Carlson interviews with the Tates? He has two of them. One with,
no.
Oh my God! So you should watch them, man. Seriously,
I heard about them. I know that he interviewed Andrew,
and he also interviewed Tristan just recently. And I'm telling you what, those freaking guys. Holy shit, man! I mean, like, whether you like them or not, they're smart. They're smart ass freaking.
So remember when we first talked about the Tates?
Holy mackerel!
We thought like, what the hell's going?
Yeah, like, I'm still. I mean, some of that shit they were doing, I'm still not a believer of. Right? That whatever the hell, men's club or whatever the hell it was.
Right.
But you cannot. I mean, you just can't pick apart their level of intelligence.
Sure,
it's insane.
Yeah. There's a lot of. I feel like there's a lot of. Not really. Like being in the social media or being in Hollywood, I would imagine it being tough to kind of stay on that straight and narrow path. So it's like the fact that they have a brotherhood. I feel like that's like a huge. That's like I would feel like the main thing to get them through that, right? Because if you had a business partner that you just met kind of along the journey of coming up in Hollywood, right? You still have
he's gonna fold on you or sell you out. Yeah.
Sell you out, right? But if you have your brother going through that, I would imagine that's a great feeling, just knowing like,
so that was
this guy's back.
That was part of the interview with Tristan, as that came up. That whole conversation about how they've lived together, like in the same house for 30 years or whatever, and so they're super tight. And I'm like, yeah, that's got to help. You definitely know the other person on the other end of it's got your back. So
yeah, absolutely. I feel like,
but it's cool. I don't know how to explain it, right? It's just a very high level, high IQ conversation, right? You think these guys are freaking meatheads, right? And absolutely not, man.
Yeah, sure. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, no, I definitely. I saw, like I said, I saw that he did that. Now, is Tucker? Is he on? What is he on?
He's
Rumble?
on Twitter.
Just Twitter, straight up.
The videos are on Twitter. They may be on Rumble, but he posts on Twitter, right? So I think he's now on the Tristan one was his 14th or 15th episode, and they're all long format, and it kind of dives between politics and just the general public. But he did Tate, I think it was like number 11 or something like that, and then the Tristan one was just this most recent one, and they're like an hour long.
Cool. Yeah,
and those two conversations. I mean, like I said, I wasn't like a big Tate fan, but Man, I don't know. There's something about those guys. I mean, they're. I get why people get sort of the moth to the flame around them because they're interesting cats, man. They really are.
Yeah.
And they can hold a conversation like nobody's business. I mean, it's like there's no pause, there's no flinching. Like in an interview thing, usually you kind of get caught off guard. You got to stop and think. And these guys are just like sharp.
Like
and I'm like, it's almost like to the point where like. They must have the questions beforehand, and I'm sure they don't. And I'm like, man,
sharp guys,
just spot on.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see what they had to talk about because I feel like
it's all about their incarceration,
right?
In
Armenia but I feel like people often paint people in the wrong picture. And then I also was doing some reflecting, and I was thinking to myself, like, you know how like Joe Rogan was under heat recently for his Barbie take of like what's so bad with it, or like. And I was thinking, like, there's just some things that aren't meant for people. You know what I mean? Like, it's not meant for you. Like, if you don't like something, you don't have to go and flip sides and be on the attacking side. If it's not for you, it's not for you.
That's not how this world works.
But you know what I mean?
That's not how this
works.
I mean? I know, but that's not.
Like,
it's easier to troll and to try and bring people down.
Sure, but then you'll have to live with that residual in your heart of like, all right, why am I hating on a movie that I'm not going to watch to begin with, right? Like, I feel like that's just something that I didn't really quite understand. And he didn't say anything bad. And I'm like, do people actually get mad over this type of thing?
Well, because the people on the right want the left to fail and the left want the right to fail. And it's just... So anything they can do, and if someone sort of plays with that, mindset, it's a freaking shit show. And that's the world we live in. It's effed up, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Like
so.
Like you said, Barbie. I mean, I didn't mention Barbie until just now, right? Because you brought it up, but I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, it's not for you.
It's not for me, and I would never go see it. And it's in my head, it's a crap show. But I'm not going to go. I don't care. It's not even worth me talking about it.
Not worth taking up time in your day.
Now, like the Marvel movies, I'd piss and moan about because I was heavily invested in all the Marvel movies, and it's like
in your sphere.
Yeah, and I'm like, come on, man, really? That it's just,
I think that point can go so far because, like you said, if you're a Marvel person, you grew up watching Marvels, reading the comics, like I genuinely liked the Marvel movies up until a certain point, and I felt like they started doing stuff that was strictly for what do we say? Oh, checking the boxes off. But we were fans of Marvel prior to them just doing it. It would be different if that wasn't something that we were interested in. I guess you could say. I'm trying to put the words together for what that is, but it's simple as that. Some things are just not meant for you. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line. Two things I wanted to say before we wrap up. I don't know if you have anything. Rockstar is working with the developers behind 5M, which I don't know if you've been paying attention, but
what the hell's 5M?
So they're a group of developers who made the GTA RP, which is role play. It's essentially, but GTA has been on a hot streak for the past since 2013. They
Lies.
were,
Lies.
What? They're not on a hot streak.
People still play GTA.
Dude, are you kidding me? It's like one of the biggest games because of the GTA RP. It's go to Twitter or go to Twitch and go to sort by category, and GTA it was all right. So when it first came out, it was obviously.
I mean,
hot
it's not
because
my
it first came
spectrum,
out.
right? So I'm yeah.
But then they took a break. It fell down because they didn't have the RP. And a couple of years ago, like 2020 or 2021, they started heating up again because this RP stuff dropped, and it's like a mod for the PC people, and it's insane, like the amount of attention it got. So now Rockstar acknowledged, like, damn, these guys are on to something. They've essentially rebranded the game, and now they're hiring the developers of 5M to kind of implement some stuff into their game, which is going to be awesome. Like, just to see that, a $1 billion organization like Rockstar is, kind of implementing the smaller guy into their thing. It's cool, so cool to see that.
How many role-playing games do we need?
I don't know of any role-playing games. Do you, I guess like you're,
everything
like
I do is role-playing, right?
So
I mean,
what is that?
Warcraft is like role-playing, right? Elden Ring is sort of.
Well, that's that's not my neck of the woods. Like GTA was like the extent of kind of like where I would go. Like it would be like Call of Duty, GTA, Minecraft, that type of thing. But yeah, so it's super cool to see that. And when someone does something that's like on the right track or doing something like how it should be done, it's so cool to see that. Then you have guys that are Call of Duty, obviously like in my neck of the woods that keep fucking up year after year. Excuse me for dropping that bomb.
No, I hear you.
So it's just frustrating. But super cool to
I don't
see.
know. There's a bunch of shit coming out that I've been like. So I mean,
we'll see how it goes.
Obviously, I kind of ripped through Diablo 4 and played that.
Oh, did you play it?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not into the seasons thing, so I just kind of ran through
right.
the campaign on 2 characters just to kind of test the waters and enjoyed it. I played it like straight through for like a month and a half or something like that. I'm slower than some of these people solved it in a freaking day. I'm cruising. And then I guess there's some shit coming out though, like
some like DLCs for it and stuff.
Lords of the Fallen. Which is like a From Software game that isn't a From Software game. So it's kind of like an Elden Ring or a Dark Souls
Got you.
game, but it's using the new
Unreal Engine or whatever.
Unreal Engine 5, which supposedly the graphics are insane.
Cool. Do you use that Steam Deck to play your Diablos and stuff like that, or not really?
No, I was using the Steam Deck to play Elden Ring, and then I didn't. Well, you could get Diablo on it, but you had to kind of go through these just crazy gyrations and coding and stuff like that I didn't do. So I sort of put it down for a while, and I haven't used it in quite some time. But I was playing some of the other From Software games, what the hell, Sekiro, however they pronounce it, the Japanese samurai game.
Oh, yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've put it down only because Diablo wasn't really on it. But yeah, so I mean, Lords of the Fallen, there was something else that was coming out. Oh, Armored Core, but I don't know if that's coming out this year or not.
I don't know about that one.
Let's see. It's good.
You had Titanfall 2, I remember it was, because I remember I came over the one time and I was like playing. I was like, holy shit, this is sick.
Yeah.
And I was,
I mean, it's like Call of Duty.
That's why I liked it so much. I was tearing up on
Warrior and stuff like that. Yeah,
then the developers of Titanfall.
That was my. I remember when you came over and I was like, "That's it. I'm never playing another first-person shooter again." Because it's just like, what the hell's the point, right? Like headshot. Like Jesus Christ, man! I didn't even I couldn't even think.
Titanfall 2 was a great game, but then the developers of Titanfall actually They were developing Titanfall 3. Which then translated, they stopped making Titanfall 3 and they made Apex Legends, which was a fantastic game. But then,
hackers.
Oh, dude, hackers ruin every single game. And that's like why I kind of slowed down on the gaming lately, surprisingly enough. But yeah, people have no life with that shit, dude. Like, if you literally hack...
Well, that's the problem with the world we're in today, man. That's a whole nother... We could go on, this podcast could go on for hours.
I know, right? But yeah, so I'm excited to see how everything turns out, especially GTA, gaming stuff in general. I'm super, super excited. And now you can play games in your Tesla with that giant projector screen.
That's true.
In
or
your
watch Disney movies.
Console.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
So... All right, well, cool.
All right, man. So, we're over an hour here. So, we'll check out on you. General Motors, you still suck.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. 15-minute rant incoming. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're done. So, peace out, everyone. Sorry that the last 10 minutes, no video. I'll put the technical difficulties because GoPro still likes to overheat. But at least we got it out 55 on this one. So
I know, that's good.
That's it. Peace out. We'll talk soon. Later.
See you.